All right, everybody. Welcome back to Dusts of the Past. This is session 4. Before we go to where we last were, Liru.
Hold on. Yep, it's me.
You were standing atop the deck of the airship along with everybody else until you heard a voice calling to you, a familiar voice. It's the captain's voice from behind you, where everyone else seems to be focusing on something. And it says, Liru. Liru.
Hi.
We have a matter to discuss with you.
Oh, I'm always here to listen. Hold on. Let me find somewhere a little more private. And she kind of retreats away from the people who might notice her just talking to thin air.
The rest of everybody else seems to be focused on something, but at this point you've kind of lost track of whatever that could be. Not really important.
Not important. I'm sure it's fine.
And you go back down below decks, and you were the only one down there. So then the candles on your head just kind of flicker and flame. The flame is blue, and it starts to just swirl around you, almost turning into faces, but not quite, as it shifts. And with almost every line, the voice that's speaking shifts. So your captain starts out at first and it says, "We've been thinking," and then another voice, "that we need to discuss about the dangers of this place. Are you sure this is the move that you think is the right one? We do appreciate Syndra."
Yes, I do as well. I do have a few doubts about whether or not this is a particularly wise venture in terms of our health and safety, Div's health and safety, your health and safety. But
Liru,
yes,
you're already dead, dear.
I know. The safety of your memories.
Our memories will be fine as long as somebody lives forward with them. And
Exactly.
that doesn't just have to be you.
You say that every time, but I have this feeling. She kind of leans back against the side of the airship, reaches out to brush her fingers through the smog as it twists and swirls, just kind of playing with it in a way like a cat might play with a piece of string. And she says, "I have this confusion every time I think about trying to tell anyone else about you, that they might not believe me and they might be right not to believe me, but I can't explain it."
What do you mean?
Well, you're there. You're here right now. I'm here right now.
Of course we are. And we always have been. What?
Would you be here if someone else was here with me? I don't know. I've never tried, and I want to try. But
of course we would be. We're always here. We have been for a long time. And then one of the voices, and this is the voice of one of the scouts, she says, "Ever since I killed him, we've been with you." Of course, Liru, that memory falls out of your brain instantly. You never heard that line.
I never heard that line. Liru says, I know, but I don't know what I'd do if they didn't believe me. I don't know what I'd do if I spoke to someone, one of your descendants, one of your relations, one of my friends even, and they thought I was crazy. No one's ever said that. of course, so I don't know where the concern comes from, but you all mean so very much to me. Of course you understand that.
Liru, and this is your captain's voice again, and he says, you know we're here with you either way, but you insist on carrying all these burdens alone. Are you going to do the same thing with Sintra's pain? Or will you share that as well?
Share that with you or share that with them? And she kind of jerks her chin in the direction of the upper deck where the rest of the party is. She says,
some sort
I'm
of
not
like
sure
movement or shouting going on up there, but it can't be that important.
It can't be that important. Surely it's not that bad. She says, I don't think I could try and take it from them if I wanted to. Part of me feels like they're closer to Sylvain than we'll ever be.
Maybe, but we cannot share your burdens with you as much as we want, as we would like to try, and as much as we don't wish it. We tend to be as much of a burden as anything else.
I wouldn't say that. Or if I did, I would say you were one I gladly carry. I'm honored to, in fact.
Oh, we appreciate that, but whether or not your friends carry it, and whether you carry it, is entirely depending on who carries it alone. After all, if you're supposed to be this team, we do like a lot of these people. Another one nods and she said, that one that helped you with the elemental, that's a good person.
Yes, I did enjoy that sort of adventure. It has been a while. Dying. Sorry. I haven't had the chance to. Yes. She kind of shakes out her hands a little bit. She says, I'm sure that the others would be equally interesting if I were to speak to them, and equally, she kind of searches for the word, vulnerable. I wonder what they all need protection from.
The diplomat speaks up and she says, well, of course, Liru, in order to understand these people better, you need to talk with them, you need to understand them, you need to be with them. Then I think you might be able to form a stronger connection.
Yes, I do need to spend more time. I always get so distracted.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure where I go. It seems like I'm only around them a few hours when it should be around them days.
Interesting, that. But any experience is worth a little bit, after all. That's what you did with us.
Can you repeat that one?
After all, that's what you did with us. And look at where we are now. Started as strangers.
Stuck between the planes of reality. Not that we'd have it any other way.
A couple of them chuckle.
How are things over there?
Strange. Which is to say normal.
Of course, of course.
And then as you're talking, you hear the scout's voice come back and the flame just kind of like lights up. It seems that there's quite some excitement going on out there. I can't see that far outside of you though, Liru. I'm not quite sure what it is.
I had better go investigate. Thank you guys. I will speak to you again soon.
Yes, of course. Liru, when you head outside, you of course see a scene of destruction unfolding beneath you. And we'll jump back to the present day, to where we are at right now. So all of you are standing. You have just entered into the port city of Nyanzaru. And you've entered into the main gates, I should say. You were in a section earlier. Standing in front of you is this man who seems to know Sindra and seems to have been at least somewhat expecting her. What you can see, looking out over this grand city, is that there are several hilled sections or that are almost raised that are usually in the middle of the center. The city spreads out. You seem to be vaguely near the middle of it, and it spreads out in both directions to the right and left, filling in all the way up until coastline, which you can't really see in detail. You can hear out in front of you the waves. You're pretty close to a harbor. You can see it off in the distance as well, with ships entering into this harbor area. You can also see rising up in front of you. There are several notable structures, but one that you can see close here is a large golden domed building, which stands out, has a ton of space around it compared to everything else. The streets themselves are bustling everywhere. Despite this horn call and the attacks, it seems the people seem unbothered. There's greenery out of almost everywhere. It seems like every roof has a garden or walls of vines down it. There are plants that are kept along the sides of the road, but all of it doesn't seem to be necessarily messy. It's all fairly well maintained. And looking around, you expect a place this big to be pretty much disgusting, filled with refuse, but it's not. It's extremely clean, far cleaner than the streets of Sharn are, especially in the lower districts. And off to your left, you catch a note of a large structure that appears to be made out of a tent. It's got some blue and white checkered things, and then red and white checkered sides, 3 of them, which then lead into a massive circular blue and white tent in the middle, and it takes up a ton of space. This place is huge. And you can see that there are people going in and out of there. There are carts getting towed by these massive reptiles in and out of there and in and out of the harbor area itself. Another thing, now that you have a second to not panic, is that this place is hot, insanely hot. And it is humid. It feels like you're wading through water almost. All of you are just like sticky. You're sweating, especially after such an intense combat expeditive. You are all really, this feels great. This is nice. It's like water that keeps steaming off when it hits your eyes, but
Div doesn't have skin.
Everything here is small. The air is wet. Why is it so hot? I want to go home. But I have a job to do.
The man in front of you who seems to be talking, Jasper, Sindra is still supported on your arm, and he says, "Oh, well, that is unfortunate, my friend. I am sorry that you have had such a difficult introduction to our city."
I've had warmer welcomes. I've had colder welcomes.
Well, if there is one thing that you will certainly never find near, it is the cold. And he laughs. And you can see these people that are all going around. You can hear this musical language that you heard earlier just getting called out to them amongst a lot of these workers. All of them seem to be wearing this really thin, loose clothing. And all of them are rather clean as well, as you get a little bit of a chance to look around. And you don't see like necessarily people who are covered like in dirt. In the section that you were just in, you saw a couple more people, but even then it was still like their faces were clean, just like the little hems of their pants had some dirt on them. They were still pretty clean.
We love good hygiene.
Yes. These people here are clean. I like that.
Listen, it probably rains all the time. They don't need a shower.
Div.
So this ma'am, he approaches you. And Syndra at this point, Jasper manages to stand up on her own. And she says, "It's good to see you, Wakanda. How are you?" And he looks at Syndra and he says, "It would appear that I am doing much better than yourself. We better get you somewhere where you can sit down." And he starts leading Syndra away. And she goes over to him to follow him. But she turns back towards the rest of you. And as she's walking and she says, "I am going to stay with my friend. If you want to find accommodation, there are two taverns here. One is called Kaya's Landing or something along those lines. And the other is called a Thundering Lizard. Thundering Lizard will give you a more raucous stay. Kaya's will be a little more quiet. It is up to you. I must rest for the day, but I wish you luck. I wish I could give you more, but unfortunately, I cannot."
Zephyrus wants to, he's going to address the man escorting Syndra. He kind of steps forward a little haltingly. He's like, will she be looked after?
He looks at you and he kind of has had this sparkle in his eyes and then just like a grin on his face, but he looks at you and his face, he becomes very sincere and he says, "I promise you, my friend, that I will keep this woman safe."
Thank you. I appreciate it. He's still very like spaced out for now, but he's
He like looks at you, raises his hand as if to say something, but then just like opens his mouth and just, "I wish you luck in Chult, and we will assure you that you will get the I can assure you that I will convince the other merchant princes that you'll get the hero's welcome that you deserve here, especially after a feat like what our guards seem to have acknowledged you for." And then as he says that, there's this like one guard on the wall who's like still paying attention. He like looks back and just like, "Woo!" with spirit in the air.
Love that guy.
woo!
Then he turns back and he says, "Syndra has told you correctly about the places. Kaya's House of Repose is one place to go, or the Thundering Lizard. Both will be excellent places for you, but Kaya's is a much quieter stay." Of course, if you enjoy
Marsius
the action of the
raises his
city-
hand.
Yes, my friend. Are
In
you?
terms of budget, which would be on the lower end?
Yes, good sir. Would we be able to perhaps earn our keep? For me and my friends specifically, because we are a bit low on funds, you see.
You are heroes of the city now, or at least you have done heroic acts. Kaya's is the more expensive stay. But if you tell them that Wakanga Otamu sent you, she will know what that means.
You say so.
To either location. And he smiles at you as he says, "Now I must take Syndra back to a place where she can sit down. But I do hope that you enjoy the city. If you find yourself in need of entertainment, we have dinosaur racing here. As well as if you are particularly desperate on funds, then you can bet on it if you are one of that nature."
Noted. Yeah,
Marsius, we are not losing all of our funds in the horse races again.
What funds?
that was one time and it was for a new Cyrus celebration. Div, I was just trying to be involved and not,
And using your poor judgment for the better, I see.
Of course. Listen, it was part of the festivities at the time. I have no inclination to continue in that vein. Marsius kind of salutes to the man whose name I've already forgotten. just drifted right off my brain. Can you please repeat it?
His name is Wokanga Botahu. I said what I said.
Okay. Something. Got it.
Otamu. I can at least remember Otamu, I'm pretty sure. Unless it was a K. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, Marsius salutes and he says, thank you for your information and for keeping our friends safe.
He nods and he says, it is an honor to have you join us in short. And Nyanzaru, make this place your home. And he gives you a bow. And then he also kind of glances over and he says, you also might want to find yourself some cooler clothing. You will overheat quickly in those. Especially the armor.
Yes, please. It is very hot here.
Your coat's kind of like slung over your shoulder, Jasper, because you can't really put it anywhere else. It's so big, it doesn't really fit.
He's removed his hat and he's trying to fan himself with it.
You can see like the beads of sweat coming down his face. Sun's just beating down on you.
Most I've ever been exposed to the sun.
Dave's just like looking at himself. He's like, clothes?
Looking? Boy, you were blind.
He can feel the like singular, like still half burnt like flag around his shoulders. That's his only article of clothing.
This man nods to you as he walks away and he says, good luck, my friend. I wish you success.
Awesome. Which inn do y'all want to go to?
The one with clothes that are not hot.
Okay, well, let's go. I guess
Do taverns
We
here
don't have
usually
it.
sell clothes?
I don't think so. So we'll have to find a place along the way. Are y'all in the mood? Let's go somewhere quiet. Marsius, I'll do this in character, sorry. Marsius kind of turns around and says, I suggest somewhere quiet. That way we perhaps make less trouble, but also Zephyrus should get some rest.
Yes, I agree.
Zephyrus, you find yourself unintentionally leaning farther to one side than you ought to.
Yeah. When Zeph hears his name being mentioned, he kind of like looks up, kind of half dazed. It's just like, I appreciate the offer, but I'm quite fine.
No, we're getting him to the quiet inn immediately. All right. Which did he give us any sort of directions?
No, he
No,
just
we
told
were
you
just
that they were
given-
there.
Say what?
We were just
told you
given
that they were
location
around.
names. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Question. I've been here a little bit longer than they have, right?
Yes.
So
Nephis,
would
you
I
are
know-
aware of where both locations are.
Sweet. So this is when Nephis will finally pipe up and say, don't worry, guys. I know where we can go. Just follow me.
No,
Excellent. I'm
Perfect.
going to
Lead
pick
the way.
Zephyrus up.
no, he will not let you.
You wanna contest this, Twink?
He's going, yeah.
I would be careful if I were you.
Div, what
But
did
I'm
we
not-
say about patient consent?
Please, I don't want to be picked up. I'm quite capable of carrying myself. Thank you.
Div,
Really? None of us believe him, correct? It's not just me.
I believe him.
Those of you with working eyes can also see he is clearly lying.
He's vertical.
I can walk.
That is
just
a-
fine.
That is a 45-degree angle.
He's mostly up.
It's
You like
It's
correct
not too
yourself
long
as
of a
they
walk.
mention it.
let us operate under the assumption that Zephyrus is able to get along just fine and
Thank you.
follow our lovely Marsius is like cycling through his memory. Our friend Nephis here, is that correct? I'm sorry,
Yes,
I was
good
a
job.
little distracted earlier. Awesome. Let's just
That's all right.
looks like she knows where she's going. Let us follow her. He starts following Nephis.
Nephis,
Perfect.
as you go through, you're not like, you've only been here for a couple days, so you don't like know the city like the back of your hand or anything like that. But this is a fairly easy spot to find because all you need to do is go towards the market ward. When you go towards the market ward, when you pass through, you can pass through the Red Bazaar. And the Red Bazaar is a little bit different. You know that the place off to your left that has all the big tents and stuff, that's the Grand Souk. And so that's where a lot of the money flows in short. But in the Red Bazaar is where a lot of the more daily goods are. They're like slabs of dinosaur meat. More daily household items are sold here. Things like bug repellent and stuff like that is the kind of thing that you find at the Red Bazaar. Instead of more of the rare, more merchant-y style goods, as well as so pretty much food, insect repellent, that kind of thing, but also some of the more tropical clothing that these people wear is sold there as well.
Anyone need to grab anything before we keep going?
Cooler clothes. He's hot.
So as you walk into this market, you can see you're hit with the scent of iron as you see several people have these stands that are set up, and they're just large slabs of meat with scales on one end that are being sold. And there
What
are
kind
people
of
just
scale? Like weighing scale or lizard scale?
lizard type scale, reptile scale,
Okay.
similar to these huge creatures that you've seen just
Okay.
sort of meandering all around. And as you pass by, merchants call to you as they're saying, "Do you need dinosaur meat? We have dinosaur meat," and things like that. Looking through, you find yourself a clothing stall, and you see that it is the owner of this stall is a dwarf, but it's a dwarf unlike one you've ever seen before. His skin is white, and I don't mean just like white person white, I mean actually white. And there are blue tattoos around his face, and he's got still a long white beard and hair. And his clothes seem to be made out of large tropical palm leaves as he methodically organizes a couple of the goods on display, just adjusting them just slightly. One of the things looks to be this odd contraption. It's got like 3 wooden sticks and there's some leather in the middle. You're not really sure what that would be for. Then except Nephis, you've heard of these things, and you know that those are rain catchers. It rains so often in Cholt that there is no need for water to come from outside. So most people, they'll just put out their rain catcher, and that'll be the water that they need. It also is what makes most of the city's engineering function, as there are huge rain basins on the top of almost every large building that collect rainwater and basically run the system on a very complex interlocking system of moving chambers and water. So basically everywhere gets
Hydropower.
But so you're aware of what that is. There is also several large blocks of something, and next to those blocks are several packages with like little sealed ties. He's also got a display of the various tropical clothing in pretty much any color that you can think of, as long as it's a bright color. No grays. No grays or browns. Sold here. But that is what you see, Jasper, as you walk up to this dwarfs stand, and he looks up at you and he's like, oh, hello. You are not from Torp?
I am not. I'm from Sharn.
Oh, quite different climate there. Can I interest you in my works here? We have a rain catcher for you to get your rain. We have insect repellent. Have you ever been eaten alive by insects before?
I've never been out of Sharn before.
Oh,
Your bug's big.
yes. And there are lots of them. Thousands, hundreds, millions. If you don't have, and he kind of like holds up a finger as he says this, if you don't have bug spray, you get eaten alive. You need the incense or the salve. You might be okay inside of Nyanzaru, but if you have any plans of going elsewhere or staying outside for long periods of time, if you were a duckworker or anything like that, you need this. You can either burn the incense or you can spread the salve. Don't worry, the salve is waterproof. And as he says this, you see all of these tents are covered as well. As he says this, light rain starts to fall, and this doesn't seem to bother anybody at all. Nothing changes or moves at all as it starts to drizzle. Nephis, you have been in Cholt for 5 days now, and it has been raining pretty much that entire time, off and on. Like, it's just as hot with the rain. The rain doesn't help in any shape or form. It's just there.
All right.
And then this door, and he points and he says, "Oh yes, and clothes, of course. You will overheat in that. Is that leather? Oh dear.
Yes.
Not even dinosaur leather. None of that is for protection." And then he kind of like glances, and it seems like he just notices Zephyrus, and he's like, "Oh, maybe you do need that. Well, we don't. I don't sell that. I'm sorry, but if you do, you can go to the souk. They sell that."
Is dinosaur leather more cool?
No.
Then I'll stick with this. I know this
Does
one
look a little
fits.
bit better though.
Oh, I doubt that. I can't look much better than I already do.
You mean boring? Monocolor?
It's hot here. I would like a change of clothes, please.
Oh, good request.
And bug repellent.
Oh, even better request. Can I get anything for the rest of you?
Marsius
been
looks
like-
at Div.
Oh, go ahead.
That's it. That's all I do. Nothing else.
Look at a giant robot lizard friend, like, do we need anything? And Div just looks back like, I don't know, you're the one with skin.
So, Jasper, if you want to get yourself the insect repellent for a block of incense is going to be a silver piece, and the dwarf tells you that it'll probably last for about 8 hours if you burn it, and it'll cover maybe a 20-foot square area. Or if you want to get those little like vial things covered in like a waxy cloth, then you can get that for a gold piece. And he says that should have about 20 applications, and each application should last for about 24 hours. And it's waterproof so that the constant rain doesn't wash it off.
I would like the lotion one.
The bug lotion. All right.
Bug-proof lotion, please.
That will be a gold piece for you. Are the rest of y'all buying anything? Oh, and Dave, let me check real quick.
Don't know if I have money.
Marsius and Div don't have money.
Zephyrus, you should have money. You had like a job, right?
Oh,
you
yeah,
had like
you're
a
right.
stable income. You were
I'm
That's
loaded.
employed.
true.
Not to brag, but I kind of have some funds. A little bit of funds here.
Marsius, I mean,
Amazing.
Div and I were doing okay for a little bit.
Yeah, but are you now going to roast alive is the question.
Me?
Yes, you. I
I'm
do
sure I'll-
not want my companion to be broiled.
Jasper, it is going to cost you 2 gold to get the clothing, and I'm going to give you a couple of options as to what you can get. But it is going to be much cooler. So
temperature wise, because you can't get cooler than Jasper.
unless you put him in epic looking tropical clothing,
Maybe
then it's tropical Jasper.
tropical Jasper. For a limited
Regional
time
variant.
only and available only at McDonald's. Tropical Jasper.
Tropical Jasper.
Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
good.
So you see a lot of these people, they have head wrappings of various styles and tightness. Some of them are like super loose, some of them are really long and elaborate, some of them are really tight, but a lot of the native population here has some sort of wrapping over their hair. Some of them are more shawl, some of them are more hood, some of them are more just like a scarf that they threw up around their head. Your Syndra's friend Wakongo Damu, who you were talking to earlier, he had a smaller one. It was golden over the top of his head, and his hair came out from beneath it. It wasn't like covering all of his hair, but it was over the top of his head. You see a lot of people. So these kind of like light big scarves things placed over the head. There are a bunch of them, varying styles. You also see that there seem to be some things that are more robe-like. There are some that are just like these really wide, billowy pants, and they're all of it's pretty. It's either like for the leg length, everything goes like down to the ankles. There's nothing shorter than that. For the arm length, there's anything from like these big billowy sleeves that will probably go down to your wrists to something that cuts off at the shoulders, and is all connected in one piece. You could get two separate pieces. You could get there some like lighter things that are almost like vests, but not quite. It's like they have like a big slit down the middle, but they're these billowy shirts that go all the way. So up to you what you want there, Jasper. Anybody else who's getting yourself tropical style Chultan clothes here. Some of them are nicer than others. It doesn't seem like this particular merchant has anything that's really high quality, but all of it's in varying colors.
Do I have enough money to buy some clothes for the other people and stuff?
I do not know off the top of my head how much money you have, but it's going to be probably about 2 gold per outfit. So
Okay.
Jasper's gonna get a medium length blue head wrap and a red puffy vest shirt with the shorter sleeves and yellow poofy pants.
sweet. Any of the rest of y'all who wear clothes getting anything?
I don't have any money, so gonna pass on that one. I'll
The
rip
dwarf,
this.
he kind of like looks so excited after Jasper buys these things, and he's just like, and then he looks to you and he's just like, oh, he just looks so sad. Like his face like falls.
Marsius looks devastated.
Marsius, would you like a new outfit? I can spare a couple gold.
Marsius like looks between the sad dwarf and Jasper, and his like sense of politeness is warring with his the lights are off again, with his like want to ease this dwarf's disappointment, and they're like going back and forth in his head. You can see it happening, and he finally says, sure, but maybe just one of them shirts.
Come on, get the whole outfit. If you're gonna be traveling with me, I don't need you passing out from heat exhaustion.
All right, if you insist.
You'll pass out and things like that. Too many layers. Says,
Yes,
Zephyrus?
avoiding that would be ideal.
especially, why are you outsiders here? We should start with that. I can better help you if I know what I'm helping you with.
I have a friend who's sick, and the cure is somewhere here.
So you'll be searching in the market wards. In the souk, you might be able to find some sort of medicinal thing. You can find most of anything in there.
I believe we will be wandering the woods.
Oh, you'll be going into the jungle exploration. Then you will definitely need light clothing. You can't be working hard and walking through the Trollton jungles in that. And he points towards you, Marsius, with like a little hop.
Marsius looks.
Time.
Marsius looks.
You'll faint within a day. 24 hours, maybe even.
Marsius looks
Less
like
than that.
visibly chastised.
Somebody as pale as you definitely will faint. You look like you're about to faint already. You're losing time.
That's just his face. Don't worry about it.
All right. I'm sure you're correct. Marcius kind of reaches for like just literally anything. Like he's never gone shopping in his life.
Oh no, don't pick that one. That's
Jasper, I'll
more
let
of
you
an
pick.
autumn. You're much more of a winter.
Marcius kind of he asks, "Do you have anything in purple?" And then he looks surprised why he might have even said that. He's
The
like,
dwarf looks
"Purple?"
like deeply offended as you say that, and he says, just kind of like looks at you with just like these big eyes, and then he says, "Oh, of course I do. Which shade of purple are we talking?"
I'm being gaslit by this dwarf.
It's because you refused
we
to
have
buy the
purple.
clothes in the first place.
It's not a refusal. We don't have money.
I am buying them. Pick an outfit.
Nephis, this reminds you a lot of your first day. These merchants all in Nyanzaru seem to have a way of convincing you to buy things.
Honey, we're going shopping.
Get in the car.
All right. So Jasper, what do you get from Marcius? You get yourself some purple stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's like
That's
the
another 2
equivalent
gold.
of like jeans and a t-shirt.
And then it's another 2 gold. Jasper just kind of pulls his wallet out, and it's got a little heart on it, stitched on it. It just has all of his family members' initials.
Oh,
And then he just kind of slaps the 5 gold on the table and slides it over to the merchant.
He just like deftly swipes it up, and he's like, "You are going to have an excellent time in short, my good friend."
I hope so. It already hasn't been great.
Now, oh, that's too bad. Well, of course, this will make it better now that you won't be sweating so much. Aha! Now, the rest of you, if you said that you need to be exploring, you will all need insect repellent, or you'll get sick, and you will die. Very sad, very unfortunate, and none of us want that.
I will buy 4 of your lotions, please.
Of course, good woman, of course. And then he says, "Now, do you have a source of water when you're out exploring?"
Hold on.
Yes, I do.
How long will that last? You must drink a lot more until, and you realize this, like, in order to actually stay not dehydrated in Cholt, Nephis, you're drinking at least a gallon of water a day, usually 2.
Dope. I've managed. Why?
In the city, yes, but, well, let me show you. And he pops up, and he takes this wooden thing and he opens it, and it seems like it's just like a tarp spread over these wooden poles. And then he says, "Beautiful and simple, but this rain catcher will collect. It is totally waterproof." And as he holds it out, he puts it out from underneath the stall where it's been lightly raining, and it starts to collect water, slowly coming into one thing. And he says, "This is a rain catcher, an absolute necessity for exploring through the jungles. It is your source of water." Trying to get it in the rivers, and he just kind of like shudders. He says, "Oh, you'll get throat leeches in no time." "Oh no, don't drink that. Drink the water from the sky, I always say. Doesn't kill you." Not much of a phrase, but well, an accurate one.
All right, and how much is this water catcher?
It is 1 gold. You will likely need a couple of them to support your entire group, 2 or 3.
Is there a bulk discount that you can give us since we're buying so many things from you here?
That might depend on, well, exactly what are you buying?
Well, I'm getting those 4 lotions. And then how many water catchers would you recommend? 2?
2, yes, that'd be good. That'd be good. 2 per person, or
2 per person? Wait.
A catcher can usually get enough water for 2 people in a day, assuming it rains enough. If it rains a lot, you might be able to get away with 1, but you can't guarantee that it will rain a lot. You need sprinkles like this all the time, but two rain catchers will get you a lot.
I'm gonna lean in over to Div and be like, Div, what was the thing you did to make the groundwater safe when we were traveling out of Nyanzaru? Was that just sort of like a one-off thing, or?
I could have that ability again, yes.
All right, I was just wondering, that's all.
I assume you don't say that where the dwarf can hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm just...
Marsius be like, can we find a way to not get as badly scammed as we are currently getting?
Marsius be like, don't you have purified food and drink?
Y'all can roll insight checks if you want on this dwarf's legitimacy.
I mean, Div doesn't have money to buy anything, even if he were going to buy anything.
Div also doesn't need to drink water, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
there are multiple
which
reasons
the
why
dwarf
Div will
didn't
not
do.
question this man.
Jasper's gonna kind of look at the dwarf and, come on. I bought 2 outfits and I already bought one case of your anti-bug lotion, and we're buying another 4 cases. How about 3 of those rain catchers for 1 gold?
For what?
Yeah, come on.
One
This
little
is
together. And...
a little welcoming thing for our friend here. I've been here a few days, but it's his first time. Come on.
I'm a merchant. I have to make money here. You think if all I sold was 2 outfits a day and just a little bit of a bug? I don't know about this. Go ahead and roll me either Jasper or Nephis a persuasion check with advantage.
You said with advantage?
Yes, sir.
That's a 23.
He kind of sighs and he says, "Oh, fine. All right, but only because you're a kind gentleman who acknowledged his own ridiculousness. But 1.5. 1 in 5 silver. And the full price for the bug. For the bug.
That's fine.
Okay, so that is going to be a total of 5 gold to you, Nephis, and 5 silver.
Jasper kind of gives a
Grumbles under
little.
his breath as he swipes it, but you take the goods.
Jasper gives him a wink and, thank you, kind sir.
And he says, now if you break the rain catcher within the first 3 days you're here, I'll replace it for free. Assuming that the break is accidental, of course.
Of course.
Now, anything else I can get for you?
I think we're set. Thank you so much for welcoming us.
Of course, come back anytime, he says, with a big smile on his face.
Incredible. Marsius hasn't had new clothes in a very long time. He is very distracted, like kind of turning around. You know, in the montage scenes, that's what he's doing. He's just like pulling at the hem of it and everything.
It is incredibly light clothing. It's very thin, very easy to move in.
I love it. I'm a big fan, actually.
And it does seem to help. Help with the heat. It's not nice outside. It's not
It's
great.
still
It's not like it's all of a
hot.
sudden. fun to be there, but it's more tolerable than it used to be.
Incredible.
Nephis is gonna pass out the lotion to people and also give some rain catchers to people, but I'm not sure who to give them to because I can't really tell who I think is the most responsible yet. I'm gonna give one to Div to hang on to, and then I'm like, I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't know who should hang on to the other one.
I'm big.
Just
I
straight
can
up,
hold
you look
it.
like the mom friend, and then the rest of you, I don't trust you.
I'm strong. I can hold.
You want
If you
the
need me
rain
to carry
catcher?
one of those as well, I'd be plenty willing.
You know what? Whoever wants it can take it.
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but Marsius did kind of just show back up. Didn't really see them on the boat. And then I don't know where the other two went.
Marsius looks kind of offended.
Well,
says-
I'm sorry. You just
Okay. We don't need to be pointing fingers or anything. It's okay. I don't like dealing with petty conflicts like this. So
let Jasper have it. He paid for the clothes.
okay, here you go.
I will use it wisely, I hope.
Very reassuring. Thank you.
So Jasper, when this thing is shrunk down, it's fairly small, but when it's spread out, it's about 5 foot wide. So it does have like a decent bulk to it. Pretty much think of it as like carrying a camp chair around. Like that's sort of about that size.
Okay, well, on to the inn then.
Nephis, I do have a quick question. And then
Mhm.
I hold out the gallon cask of liquid I got handed. Do you know what this is?
Nephis, that's tea. It's an alcoholic drink that the Choltons love, and it's made out of honey.
That is a pretty delicious drink, actually, but you should probably not drink too much of it, judging on what I know about you as a person so far.
You just met me. Unless you've attended one of my shows. Have you been to Sharn? You
I
look like
have
someone
been
who's
to Sharn, but I didn't frequent the theater, so
it's a shame. We put on a great performance.
I'm sure you did.
Incredible.
Straight up the equivalent of goblet.
You move forward until you get to Kaya's house. And you see it's a fairly nondescript building compared to other things. Some of the lower floors actually are made out of reeds instead of this like more stucco style that the rest of these buildings are in. All across the roof and the sides are coming down these just like brightly colored green vines, which have a lot of really brightly colored flowers near the top. There are also these like really almost blocky images that are half hidden behind the vines on the sides that seem to just sort of depict something, but you can't see the full picture of it. And there are a couple of people going in and out, but you walk into this inn, and looking out in front of you, you can see that there are it's a fairly open floor. There's not a whole ton of people here, and there are just tables that are made out of just like pretty much looks like a standard tavern build, except that on each of the tables there's a mat that's made together out of what looks to be like woven palm leaves on the top of each table. And at the counter you can see as you walk in, and next to the inn is a large one of those creatures that you saw with the 3 horns and just like the wide bone plate on top of its on top of its head that's just sitting there with a massive pack. It looks like the most intense reptilian version of a horse you've ever seen. And you walk inside and you see that there is a woman standing behind the bar, and the bar also is covered in that mat of palm leaves. And there is sitting in front of the bar, there are two figures, one of which is a human with short brown hair and a scrappy beard, and some of the loose, kind of dull colored clothing, not that you would necessarily associate with Cholp, but that you would associate with more mainland, as well as standing next to him on top of the stool is a short gray-haired halfling. And as you go, the short gray-haired halfling, you walk in and you hear this conversation immediately. And he says, "Come now, Kaya, you have to accept that it would be a good deal. Just imagine the kind of propriety that would come with this, the respect you would get." And this older woman, and you can see that she's a Cholton woman, where those darker skin, more native people, wearing the loose clothing, and she has her hair is extremely curly with streaks of gray through the back, and it seems like while she's inside, she doesn't have any kind of head covering on. And she just grins a little bit, and she says, "No, I already have more repute than most of your inns do. Selling to you, paying money for that, it gives me nothing." And his friend, he says, "But you would have the symbol, it means so much. The foreigners, they'd instantly all come to you over the thundering blizzard." And then as she walks in, she said, she kind of shakes her head and she says, "Half of them already do. See, look, I have customers now. Welcome, my friends, to Cholt. Welcome to Kaya's House of Repose. How may I help you today?" And she says, talking to you.
We
Standing in the doorway like, can I interrupt?
Come, do not be shy. These two idiots do not block my business. Come now.
Marsius kind of smiles. He says, "Thank you. Yes, we would like lodgings for at least tonight."
For at least a night, of course. It is a gold per person here.
It is what?
Gold.
Gold per
Oh,
person.
For those of you who are used to
gold.
staying in taverns, you are aware that that is a pretty expensive price.
That is hefty.
Even a
The
gold?
guy
per
told us to come
person.
here. For
Per-
the individual told us to come here. The guy.
Even for heroes sent by what god? Which heroes sent by
What was his name? Scott, can I roll a history check to see if Marsius can pull
remember a
the
Cholton name?
syllables?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's see if Marsius can remember a Cholton name.
It was in the tent.
Let's see. History is insight. Is intelligence, correct? So we
Yes.
might have a chance here.
You can do it.
It's yeah.
This is hilarious.
One second.
We're
I have to
heroes.
remember which one of
It's funny to me
my-
how in character it is that y'all cannot get a Cholton name into your head for each of you.
That's gonna be 13. That's what I got.
You remember that his last name is Otamu.
Otamu.
Otamu. With a
Otamu.
Tamu. That's how he said it, at least. That's how Sindra said it.
Okay. That's
Like
what
the
Marcy
sixth
says. He
time
says
she mentioned it.
we were sent by Otamu.
As in Waganga Otamu.
That's what I said.
That's the one.
That's him.
What you said there.
Ah, yes. Yes, of course. If you are sent by him, then Then you will be staying here. Do you need 5 rooms? I don't know that I can quite get you 5. It is my place, and she kind of gives a glare to the 2 people, just like a friendly glare. My inn is quite popular, and there are many people who stay here.
I'm sure we can make do with only a few. Div and I can stay together.
I can also stay in the barracks if needed.
The barracks are pretty far out from here.
Oh, are they far? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I could still do that, but it would be a trek.
How
Like
far
when I say far, I mean like 50 miles far.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You'll be fine. If you
Where
walk
have I
at
been
50 miles per hour, you'll get there before the end of the day.
You were staying in the other inn. That and your pay was, you were getting, your way was paid. But
Dope. So I could just go back over there if needed.
these fairly large rooms, like a single king, or is it a 2 queen situation?
she kind of like looks at you and she's like, excuse me?
Like the beds, the king size bed, or is
I
it
am
2
not
queens, or
familiar with this style.
He is a large and heavy individual, and he just wants to be sure he doesn't
Like,
cause damage to any furniture.
Yes, and I was just wondering if there were multiple beds in a room, or is it a single bed per room situation? How
Well, it
large are
depends
the
on the rooms.
beds?
If we're getting 3 rooms, I can get you 3 rooms with 2 beds each, as well as running water, of course,
Sounds perfect.
as we have the original.
Fine.
That works for me. Who wants to room with a star?
Now, which
Kind of just looks at the party.
she kind of pauses, and you see, as you say that, these two individuals, they seem to perk up.
Oh,
Oh, do either of you have rooms I could stay in then?
Might I suggest someone else stay with Marsius and I stay with Zeph for tonight?
What about the rest of the party? The rest of us?
I'll
Don't mind
room,
being alone, but
I'll room with you, Jasper.
I do enjoy a roommate. I do miss my sister. I miss her already.
Marcius kind of cocks his head. He smiles. You have a sister. What's her name?
Name's Laz. She's a businesswoman. She works in Shaw, and she's a pain in my backside, but I still love her.
Sounds like a sibling to be proud of.
I hope she says the same about me.
If you don't mind me interrupting, I'm sure this is a lovely conversation, but what floor would you like to stay on? If you stay on the top floor, it will be cooler overall.
Let's do that then.
Do you like being higher up?
Very well.
Small
We'll get you
buildings are strange and small.
And the lights are off again.
Time to
She
send it
kind of like
off.
looks around and she's like, this is a normal size building. Maybe even one of the bigger ones in town, but I suppose whatever your standards are, I'm not sure. Anyway, will you be that the cost of the room includes 2 meals a day. Of course, if you want any day, which if you have not sampled yet, I highly recommend you do. That will be purchased separate from it.
I heard it's great.
It is quite incredible. Unlike anything that you have over there in Corver, boring drinks. Not enough life to them.
Amazing. Marcius kind of smiles. He says, I look forward to experiencing it.
And she smiles and she tells you the the names of her of the rooms. And then at that point goes back, and then you see these two individuals as you're kind of moving walk up to you, both of them kind of straightening themselves, and the halfling who has the short curly gray hair and a little bit of a scruff. He has less. It looks like he's like made more of an attempt to shave, but not a perfect one. Kind of like straightens a vest that he's wearing, and he says, "Say, friends, what would be your purpose here in Chult?"
Can I roll an insight check on this guy really fast?
What are you looking for?
Save friends.
I just want to know if basically Marsius is thinking about the conversation he had with Zephyrus earlier about how concerned Zephyrus was about information getting out, and whether or not we should be going and telling this person why we're really here or not. Like,
Y'all
is this
better-
person trying? What sort of intentions does this person have towards us? Does he want to like make money off of us, basically? Because that's fine. I'm sure that's fine. But if he wants to like sell
Okay,
us
so
to
Is
something,
this a Hollywood producer?
is this a Hollywood producer, or is it like a skeevy guy who's gonna
As
you
he
know,
said
possibly
exactly
cause
one line to
harm?
you, that's going to be a pretty tough DC to get a lot out of, but we'll see what you can get.
okay?
Better
Listen,
keep
sometimes you
Jasper
can just
quiet.
look at people and know.
I don't know anything. I got like a 7.
You're not really sure. I mean, seems like a friendly enough guy. Seems like a good fellow.
We're on a mission to help a sick friend.
Are you looking for a rare cure that's out in the jungles?
Just between you and me, pal, I'm not 100% sure. I was just told there was something here that could help.
Zephyrus is going to look slightly uncomfortable and a little bit alarmed at Jasper saying this, and he's probably going to kind of chime in, just be like, "Not that it's any of your concern, really. We have our own business."
The halfling just kind of like gasps, and then his companion says, "Well, you of course wouldn't know this having just met us, but we are wilderness guides." And then both of them just kind of like pose for a second.
Guitar riff. It's like whenever you visit the never mind. I'm not gonna make a Legend of Zelda reference. No one needs to hear that right now.
Jasper
No, I
whips his
get you.
flute out, plays a little ditty, and poses with them. Sorry, habit.
Marsius puts his head in his hands.
and then they say, "We can get you anywhere you need to go in short, and we will be able to help you find whatever it is you're looking for. We know these jungles well. We've explored them many a time." And this is the halfling talking, and then his friend says, "Plus, we have ourselves a triceratops, and that's always handy on an adventure." And he winks at you. And you do notice that they have short swords belted. It's a little easier to see now to their waist.
Ah. Well, if we require your assistance, I will keep you in mind.
How many hours is it outside? Sorry, that's not coherent. What time is it? Like, how late is it?
I'll tell you a thing later about how you said that. But anyway, so it is at this point it's about late afternoon. So you got to Chult in the early afternoon, but throughout the process of talking and fighting and just things going on, it's later afternoon, not quite evening yet, but you're getting there. Seems like the sun has no intention of going anywhere, but
Yeah. Yeah. Marcius sort of glances towards Nephis. He says, "Nephis, you are from this area. How well do you know the woods?"
I'm not from the area. I've just been here a few days, but that we really just need to consider our options. I think if we're going out into the jungle, shouldn't. No offense to you, gentlemen, you seem very, very well versed, and I'm sure you know much more than all of us combined in regards to survival. But we're not really sure when we're heading out, all of those details, so should probably just wait to make any decisions like this.
Well, you don't want to wait too long to start an expedition. Time is wasting. The halfling says, but he says, and cross, and he kind of leans in, which would probably be more dramatic of an effect if there was any of you actually near his height, but there's really not.
Incredible.
It's way shorter. And he says, if you decide to go with us, we have a map to some treasure that we've been looking for the right group to help us find. You would, of course, get shares in the profit. And then he winks at you and turns and he walks back towards the bar, and both of them walk out kind of strutting, seeming very proud of themselves.
Incredible.
I like those two. I vote we should hire them.
I have to disagree.
With Div on this one, seems a bit strange.
You guys are no fun.
Yes, that is the point.
Come on, live a little.
Kaya calls out to you, the owner of this inn, and she says, just be aware if you're deciding to embark with any guide, that those two are far from the only guides you will find here in Joe. There are many of them.
They're the best ones I've met so far. But that's a very short,
She just raises
list.
an eyebrow and at you, but she doesn't say anything.
Jasper, that is a very low bar.
I get it because they're short. They're funny.
They were both very short. Even the human was still like 5'5".
As a 5'4" guy, I take offense to that.
As a 6-foot person, I can say things like that.
It's a
Get
5'11"
stilts and then
person.
hit you
I'm
with
not
them.
allowed to say anything.
Marsius sort of glances at the woman, glances back at his companions, looks at Zephyrus, looks at Div. He kind of takes a deep breath. He says, all right, it's getting late in the afternoon. I'm sure we should all move on to our rooms, get situated a little bit, and we can reconvene for dinner. How does that sound?
I would like to change. These clothes are still very warm.
All right. We'll meet back here for dinner. And then Marcius kind of turns and moves up to the top floor.
All right. So y'all enter into your bedrooms. Each of them, you're expecting it to be a bedroom as you would normally see. It turns out that's not quite the case. Each of these beds is instead more of a cot made out of reeds that's lifted a couple inches off of the ground. And just laid out next to each other with like a reed mat in the middle of the floor. As you're on the third floor, all of the walls are reeds and there's like visible gaps, like just like little gaps in between each one. Not dramatically so, but still enough that you can still feel a little bit of a breeze that occasionally comes through. Helps keep it a little bit cooler.
I love this place.
I
Amazing.
hate this place.
So if we're getting who's really, let's see. So Marsius, you're with Jasper, right?
Mhm.
Good luck.
Div, you're with Zephyrus.
Yes.
And Nephis, you'll either be on your own or with Caylona when Caylona lives once again.
Dope. Good. I
Caylona
can
just died
talk
in the
to
streets. It's
Caylona
fine.
about her disrespect last time. It'll be a good talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
The girls are fighting. Sorry.
Y'all want to do anything?
Marsius just kind of sits down on the edge of the bed. There's water up here, right? Yeah, he washes his hands of the blood, and he pulls that spider out of his bag again, and he kind of turns it over and squints at it, frowns and puts it back and pulls out his loom instead, and he just starts weaving something, and he'll do that until dinner time.
First the weird undead things, then the really weird shack hotel, and now this dude is just making art. This place is strange.
Marcius grins. I thought you were a fan of art yourself.
The entire situation with where we're at, it's all a bit stressful right now. The horizon is flat. I can't see anything in the sky. All these buildings are small and square.
I understand. It is definitely a change of environment. You've spent your whole life in Sharn, then?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I've left the city, but not far enough to not see it off in the distance.
Of course. Well, consider this, I don't know. Marcius kind of thinks for a second. He says, do you ever stand in Sharn and turn your head sideways? Just to see things going vertically as horizontal?
I've never done that.
Well, it doesn't look unlike how the horizon looks now.
Jasper kind of tilts his head to the side. I guess you're right.
Mm-hmm. If that makes you feel more at home, God, blinded by the light, sorry. If that makes you feel more at home, then perhaps think about it that way. But perhaps it's better to not feel at home at all. We are about to do something dangerous after all.
It does make me feel a little more comfortable. Thank you, Marsius.
Of course.
You're really good at hiding, aren't you?
Whatever do you mean?
Because you were there for our first interaction with Syndra, but then you disappeared. Don't remember seeing you on the boat to get here, but now you're here again.
No, I walked with you. Don't you
Well,
remember?
You weren't on the boat with us. The big ship.
Yes, I was. I spent those whole 3 days on the deck eating food with y'all. It was quite a delicious couple of meals.
Was that you? There was someone else with like big horns, candles.
Funny,
I don't know where they went either.
I don't recall that. You must be mistaken. I've never seen someone like that.
I don't.
Will you, if they show up again, maybe point them out to me? That seems like someone I might like to meet. Marcius looks confused.
Will do. I'll keep an eye out for them.
All right. I suppose I can be quiet sometimes. Maybe that's what
That might be
let me
it.
slip your attention.
And also, Marsius, I am glad you're here with us. It's going to be dangerous out there, and we're going to need all the help we can get, and you seem fairly capable.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I will try not to let you all down like I did before in that encounter.
I don't think you'll let us down.
And I doubt you will either. I know you're getting used to all of this, being out in the real world and everything, but the real world gets overrated sometimes. I think you should remember the theater.
I'll keep it in my mind, but also, you any good at writing?
Writing?
Yeah, keeping stories.
Oh. Marsius kind of tilts his head. He opens his mouth to say something, and shifts. Jasper, as you're watching, there's a flicker, and for a moment, Marsius just slides away, turns silver, turns blank, and then in his place is a dark-skinned woman with a bright smile and long moon white hair and rabbit ears. Mirasandra says, "Oh, I adore stories. I've been keeping them for thousands of years, my friend. Are you all right?
Where'd Marsius go?
Who's Marsius?"
He was sitting right there. Went all flickery, and now you're here.
Mirasandra raises an eyebrow. Are you quite certain you're not playing some sort of
Yes.
joke with me?
No, I was just here talking with him, and now you're him. Now you're. Where did you come from?
Mirasandra's like excitement kind of dims a little bit. She says, Are you all right? Can I
Are you all right?
Mirasandra wants to see, what does she have right now? Can I roll medicine on Jasper as Mirasandra to see if there's anything wrong with him, if he's got like a fever or is hallucinating?
Yeah, go for that.
Cool.
Depending on what you're looking for, that could also be an insight, but I'll let you use either in this case.
Cool.
I mean, it's wisdom either way. So.
Yeah. Mirasandra got that's gonna be a 15. Not that it matters.
He's got a big old case of the confusion. Where his friend went?
There just doesn't seem to be anything. I mean, he seems to be genuinely confused / shocked, but like medically I mean, he looks a little hot, but as you kind of like catch a second as you're like thinking like this, you're like, wow, it is hot, like where you're at right now.
Definitely quite warm.
Yeah. But there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with Jasper.
Oh, wrong voice, sorry. Oh, that's very strange, I suppose. I've walked in here with you. I mean, we've just been walking through Cholt. I love purple. I got this. I do thank you for this wonderful outfit. It's my favorite color.
I bought
she
that
kinda turns
from
around.
Marsius. Are you?
I really think you must be mistaken.
He kind of looks into Mirasandra's eyes. Is Marsius in there too?
Mirasandra blinks. And for just a moment, that flower over one of her eyes turns gray, the same color as Marcius's skin, but she doesn't seem to recognize the name at all. She doesn't even seem to notice the flower has changed. She says, I really have never encountered anyone by that name.
Well, I mean, if you say you were here with us the whole time and I bought you that outfit, guess you were here. It's all a little confusing. But you said you are good at writing stories.
Yes, I've been keeping track of thousands for millions of years.
I do like a good story. Would you mind writing down ours?
Oh, keeping a journal? Absolutely. Mirasandra smiles. She says, "Is there someone you would like to tell it to specifically, or an audience in general?"
Just the world, if we could. I know. I always enjoyed hearing the stories of my father's adventures, and stories of other adventurers that he told. Reenacting those stories. Those were always fun times back in the theater.
Mirasandra smiles. She sounds like she knows exactly what you're talking about. She says, "Yes, there's no better feeling than inspiring someone else. I'm sure it is a very respectable goal, I think, that you would want to have your story do that for someone like your father's did for you. I would be happy to assist you along the way."
Thank you. And then Jasper stands up off the edge of the bed. Now, let's go get dinner.
Dinner time.
Walks downstairs.
The rest of y'all doing anything before dinner?
Div is harassing poor Zephyrus into taking a nap.
I assume everybody's taking a short rest. Like, this is just an assumption that I'm making here, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Div is physically not letting Zephyrus leave the room until he lays down.
Yeah, Zeph is not happy about this. He's like, no, I'm fine. I just need to sit down and think.
You are absolutely not fine. I have seen too many wounded soldiers lie for you to sit there and try to fool me.
I've
Now sit down.
probably seen the same amount. I've been through the same. I'm sitting. He sits.
it does help you keep your balance a little bit to sit.
He probably like feels a wave of nausea as he sits, just like, oh gods. Kind of like holds one hand over his eye, his the one that's missing, just kind of like almost like pressing into it, but not too hard. Just like the pressure on it feels probably better.
Still just like a dull ache there, even though the rest of your self has been healed. There's just nothing but pain where you used to be able to see.
Yep. This is not good. Me specifically.
So you admit that you're not fine.
Didn't say that.
No, but you sure do look it.
That's fair. He starts like undoing the wrappings on his hands a bit. They're probably a bit bloodstained. Everything on him is bloodstained, probably. So he's just idly like unwrapping the wraps on his hands, kind of flexing his fingers and stuff. I'm not good at this. I should be. But I'm not. I'm.
Div kind of looks at him for a moment, where he's like standing at the doorway, and then he first he digs around in his like kind of belt pockets for anything that he could possibly use. And finding nothing there, he kind of gives up and takes off the flag around his shoulders. And he walks over to Zeph and tears off a piece of it. Kind of wrings out a little bit, shakes it out, makes sure it's not actively, flaking ash still.
It did get a nice little clean with the rain earlier.
It's now wet. Um,
Slightly damp.
slightly damp, moist. And he walks over to Zeph, kind of crouches beside him, and offers kind of tentatively to wrap it around to kind of help.
Cold, damp cloth over eye wound. This is medically accurate. Fun fact. This is what you do.
Perfect.
It is pressure, at least. Like, it can't hurt.
Zeph takes his hand off of his eye and kind of like sets his hand down next to him. It's just like, and then just kind of nods. His other eyes closed. He's just like thinking.
Div ties the piece of flag around Zeph's head like a very, very makeshift eye patch. It's also like a very dirty version of the bright green of Cyrene. So it clashes horribly with everything else that Zephyrus is wearing.
It's good. I love it.
It's fine. Div is colorblind.
Yeah, that's
Div
fair.
is also.
He's
never
just
mind.
blind, isn't he? Zeph kind of like taps it. It's just like, thank you. Oh. Sorry, I'm just not having the best time, I suppose.
I would be surprised if you were. It takes a special kind of person to enjoy having an eye ripped out.
Oh, awful. I just feel awful that Sandra had to get involved. I should have been able to handle that. It's ridiculous that I wasn't able to. Now she might be in a worse situation because of me, us.
None of us were going to win on our own.
But I was the one who charged us into it.
I think we all did that. Well, most of us. Casualties happen.
But it shouldn't happen to me.
Well, we can work on that.
He kind of like chuckles at that. He like scoffs almost. He kind of like brings his knees up, but his like head is resting on them. Well, I just hope that I can do better next time.
You will.
Thank you for saying so.
I don't say things I don't believe.
He kind of smirks and he just kind of like lays down on the bed. Well, this should be interesting.
I'm sure we'll be alive at the end. Maybe a few bits and bobs lopped off here and there, but we'll be alive at the end.
Zeph kind of laughs. Thank you, Viv. Again, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, I'll be keeping an eye on everyone, but especially you, since you seem to be prone to accidents.
He sits up at that. Now, you've known me for 4 days, 5 days, not even. Give me a little, cut me a little slack.
You would have died quicker if I hadn't done something. It wasn't the right thing, but it was the only thing I could have done.
Realize that doesn't mean that I'm always accident prone. It's the first time in a while that I've been put in a situation that I couldn't handle.
Yes, well, being put in a situation we can't handle is probably going to happen a lot more.
That's fair.
I'm not just watching you. Relax. I'm watching everyone.
Right.
Marsius especially.
Yes. Marsius. You and him seem to get along quite well. You're old friends?
We've traveled for a time. About a year or so, if I recall correctly. It's very hard to keep track of time when you can't see the sun.
Yes, I imagine. It's just strange. He seems to come and go. But he seems
I try not to question them too much.
Yes, he seems like a fine fellow to travel with, at least. I'm beginning to feel more comfortable around him and most of our other companions, actually.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. He kind of just stares off, like, into the middle distance for a bit, just kind of still thinking about the events of the day.
That's valid. Sorry, there were quite a few events.
Quite a few events.
He's allowed to be slightly spacey. He literally
He's allowed.
died.
Yeah,
He didn't die, just lost an eye.
he almost did.
He very briefly had tea with the Grim Reaper. You should rest.
As I should. He's gonna like flop back down onto the bed again, and then kind of wince because that did not do great for his head.
Funk.
Back onto the bed.
Expected it to be soft, and then your head hit just like solid reeds.
It's like, oh, that's
Just
not
wood.
comfortable at all. I've had worse. He just kind of turns over. Kind of like huddles into like a ball, fetal position. They're blankets.
Yeah.
So
How is Zephyrus cold?
just so he has anemia. He doesn't have circulation in his hands or feet. Just like
You're in trouble. I don't care what you have, you're hot.
yeah, that's fair. No, that's very fair.
Doesn't matter if you're anemic and have severe anxiety. If it's 102 degrees outside and humid, you're gonna feel that. It's
Yeah,
fine.
this is
Perpetual summer.
A little nap.
Just a little nap.
Just a little nap.
That's fine. Div is just going to like sit by the door and just kind of keep watch.
Love that.
Zephyrus, you just kind of stare out as just the sunlight filters in and lines across your room through these reeds everywhere, hearing the sounds of people in business going outside mixed with the sound of rainfall and just the calls of this bright port city that has already taken an eye from you. As I assume, and Div, you just stand there sensing the room as you wait until dinner time and then head on down. So when you all get to dinner, assuming you don't want to do anything else beforehand, if you do, just interrupt me here, and we'll see what happens with Nephis and Caylona, and we'll do that when we have Mariah again. So the rest of y'all, so you all head down to dinner, and you're in the center of this Kaya's house of repose. And you see Kaya is still there, but it's much busier than it was. It's still not in a raucous way busy. It's kind of like that quiet, comfortable busy of a place that's popular, that's well liked, you know. As you see both natives and what looks like foreigners alike all discussing amongst themselves at these tables, and you just hear like the clinking of plates and silverware as some of the Chilton servers are flitting in between people. You see Kaya herself is at the bar. And as you are watching, you see that a figure comes up to Kaya and gives her a hug, and they start exchanging words. And this figure kind of strikes you as a little bit different. She's a Chilton woman with yellow eyes, and she has her hair is in thick braids, and it's fairly short, only going down to about her chin. She's got a red scarf across her face, and then on a couple of those braids hanging down near her chin, atop of the scarf wrapped around her head, are bright feathers that are stringed onto that. Her clothing is a lot more practical than most of these other people who you see, a little less colorful, a little more muted. And she's carrying a staff as well, and she seems to be smiling. She seems to be like, she has like one of those faces where you're looking at her trying to determine how old she is, and you have no idea. If you're like, this woman could be like in a 40-year range, and I'm not really sure. Like maybe she's just young and looks a little old, or maybe she's like old and looks really young for her age. Like you cannot tell. She strikes you, and then you see another woman, and she's about average height, this one woman, another woman who's sitting in the back corner, who strikes you as well. And she has bright hair, or not necessarily, like more like a dull red color, but it's all in dreadlocks. And she's a Chilton woman as well. Very tall, almost as tall as Jasper. And her face kind of has a proud cast to it, and next to her, some of her hair in the dreads comes down and has golden beads on it, as well as a couple of earrings, one of which has some sort of bone Tobin dangling from one of her ears. And she also has a scar that looks remarkably similar to which you were seeing those red marks on Syndra, except in scar form across her chin.
I would like to talk to this woman.
Mirasandra, these, so that woman, basically everybody here has similar, if slightly darker depending on who it is. I mean, there's like a little bit of variety. There's a skin tone thing you do. But so do you just kind of like, you come down, you're all together, and you just like immediately go walk off towards that woman?
Yeah, pretty much. I'll kind of pat Div like on the shoulder, because I can tell he's feeling a little skittish, just to let him know that I haven't just that I'm purposefully disappearing from his presence. And then move over towards that woman.
You give me gray hair.
So the rest of y'all, when you come down, you don't see Marsius anymore.
He's not here.
And Marsius is not here. No, you see this woman instead. But she comes down, kind of like pats Div with a little clank, and then is off. You can speak to this woman.
Mirasandra just walks past with a pat, and Div just only gets his like glance of like, what? Hang on.
It's really hard to keep track of people in crowds.
Yeah.
Too much movement going on. So you kind of like catch, you can tell, you know Mirasandra well enough that you can just tell the stance. But just by the way that Mirasandra moves, you can recognize that it's her, but even then it's kind of hard to keep track of where she goes after that. Also ignore those descriptions of the people that I gave you. You have no idea.
There's too many people, there's too much noise.
Yeah, you don't really see that far. These people don't really stand out to you particularly noticeably. You're just trying to keep track of who's like actually around you and who's further out, where the table actually is and things like that. It's just like commotion like this, even if it's not super fast, confuses your sense of not quite sight. But yeah, so Mirasandra, you're off. Any of the rest of y'all want to do anything?
Food. There's dinner, right?
Yep.
Cool. That's
Food
immediately
good.
where Jasper goes.
I'm with
Div is just
Jasper.
Div is just making sure that Zeph doesn't like pass out at this point.
When Zeph comes back down, you do notice that Zeph has a green cloth wrapped around, like a muted green, wrapped around his eye.
Sick eye patch, bro.
Thank you. He looked very uncomfortable at this statement.
Chicks dig scars. Come on. Builds character.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine looking at this man and thinking he likes women. That's all.
Zeph is so uncomfy. He's doing his
Anyway,
best.
so you all sit down, and then you call a server. A server quickly walks up to you, and they're all wearing pretty similar to what Jasper has, where it's pretty much like the sleeve is like technically there, but it cuts off like right there. It's like an inch of sleeve, and that's what all of these servers seem to be wearing, and in various colors of blue and green. And one of them walks up to you and quickly starts taking your order. It seems like they have a lot of things that have to do with dinosaur meat to eat here.
Dinosaur.
As well as cups of tea, if any of you want to have that. I will note that you do also have 5 gallons of tea, so that's just something to be aware of.
Why do we have so much booze? Why do we have so much booze?
Because we're heroes. It's what we do. We save this city, we drink, we eat, and we be merry.
We have so much alcohol that I could cut someone's leg off and they wouldn't feel a thing.
No.
I'm right.
So, Mirasandra, this woman seems to be sitting alone, and as you come a little closer to her, you can kind of see she's wearing a leather jerkin over her clothing, which is also a more muted shade than that around of the other native Chultans here. And you can see that she is very well muscled.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking like Nephis level well muscled.
I'm picking up on what you're putting down. Thank you.
Rude, I'm sitting right here.
Like Jasper's mother.
Mirasandra sort of like drums her fingers on the table next to this woman, just, you know, like getting her attention, wanting to see if she's gonna be in the mood to be approached by a stranger.
She turns towards you with kind of a curious expression on her face, and she says, "May I help you, my friend?"
Yes, I was just going to ask. See, I have a friend with a similar mark of battle, let's just say, and I wanted to see where you might have gotten it. And she gestures to the scars along this woman's neck.
That's an utterly personal question for someone who I've never met.
That is fair. My name's Mirasandra.
Are you from here? You don't sound like it.
No, I'm from all sorts of places. And I do not say that to be flighty. Let's just say I've lived quite a long time and seen quite a few places, and I don't quite remember which one of them has my origin.
I hope you weren't expecting that to make any sense.
Nah, of course not. I very rarely do. She smiles. If you would like me to perhaps begin with a less personal question, what's your name?
My name is Azaka.
Azaka. Mirasandra kind of says it like rolling over the syllables. She says it like she says everything, which is just with absolute interest and focus and like true genuinity.
If you don't mind me asking you a question.
Seems only fair.
Why are you here in Cholit?
I'm helping that very same friend I just mentioned.
Helping her with what?
Presumably to stay alive. And how did you know it was a she? Did I say that?
A good guess.
Of course, there are two options here, and it's A, Tobin forgot the words that she used earlier, or B, this woman, like all women and all people and everyone, knows Sindra Sylvain personally. Mirasandra kind of like jerks her head at the table. She says, "Could I sit down a moment? I don't want to disturb you."
She just nods her head.
Cool. Mirasandra sits down incorrectly, like on the edge of the table. She looks
cocks
to
an eyebrow at that, but doesn't say anything.
Mirasandra says, "So you obviously are from here, obviously frequent this place often. What do you get up to here in Cholt?"
Here is a relative term. I'm not from here, and she points kind of downwards in the city. I'm from out there, and she points back towards the jungle.
Mirasandra's eyes kind of light up with interest. She says, "The jungle. I'm sure you have quite a few stories."
You could say that. I have many a story. I am a wilderness guide. That is what I do. I guide people through my home.
I like this one. Fun fact, everyone. Anyway, Mirasandra nods. She says, "How did you come into that sort of business?"
There are few who know the jungle's dangers as well as I. Few who can learn them without experiencing them. Most of the guides you'll find here, their experience came from controlled effort. They never had to learn the jungle to survive like I did. They may know the right routes to go, but if they leave those routes, well, the jungle is a place that you need to live to know.
Mirasandra nods. She says, I see. I assume, and she gestures to the scars again. She says, I assume whatever beast did that was another thing you lived through.
She nods.
My friend wasn't so lucky.
That is unfortunate, but you said you were trying to help. I'm afraid I do not understand.
Mirasandra winks. She says, the only possible explanation is pretty much the one that you should go with. Yeah.
She sits to herself for a second and she says, so your friend is dying like everyone else. The rumors are true then?
As far as we have seen, yes. If you have any information that you've found or things that you've seen in your travels, anything at all, any data, we would be vastly appreciative.
She nods to herself and she says, do you travel alone?
I do not. And Mirasandra points over towards the crew TM, the lovely camaraderie, the companions, if you will.
Peanut gallery.
The peanut gallery. She says, these are my traveling companions. Other friends.
She looks over and just kind of nods. Certainly they stand out in the crowd. Well, and she turns back towards you. If you are seeking a place to find answers, I know of such a location.
Oh?
I know of a location of a powerful oracle, all-seeing. They know things from all times, but you can only visit once.
Oh? Mirasandra's eyebrows like shoot upwards. She says, a psychic?
Not quite. Something that would make a psychic look like a 3-year-old trying to match a master artist with a single finger paint. This is something much greater.
I
Much
admit
more
you have piqued my interest.
powerful. If you and your group of people seek answers, I will be able to take you there.
Mirasandra nods. She says, I will gladly take this lead back to them. I'm sure. I mean, if it was up to me, I would take you up on it. I have a feeling we might be in need of a mystic.
She smiles at you and she says, of course, I do not wish to lead you astray. I cannot bring you into the jungle for free. It's just my living.
Of course.
Plus,
You do have
requires us to. Anyway.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
She just kind of mumbled something. She says, "Bless that merchant prince." But
I am going to ask about that. Sorry. Mirasandra raises her eyebrows. She says, "You have taxes,
yes,
requirements?
We do.
Might I ask by whom?"
Jobal, the merchant prince, in charge of exploration.
Jabali, who is not the same as the one that we just talked to.
No,
who is currently keeping track of Syndra. Got it. Thank you. Mirasandra nods. In, you said in charge of travel?
In charge of exploration.
Part of exploration. Mirasandra says, how does one end up being in charge of exploration? It seems rather like a thing that, or exploration, I mean, seems like a thing that happens rather of its own accord.
In short, if you go out there on your own without one of us to guide you, even with one of them most of the time, you will not return from the jungle. Exploration itself isn't being charged by us, even though those British have their own ideas about it. But if you want a guide, you must pay that. And then she sits there for a second. She says, or you seem like an interesting person. I am looking for something as well. If you help me with this, I will waive the fee, and I will guide you to places that no one else has ever found.
That is an intriguing offer. What sort of a thing are you looking for?
There are terrafolk of Firefinger. Most of the natives here refer to them as terror folk. They stole a wooden mask from me, and I would like it back.
That doesn't sound like any wooden mask. Might you elaborate?
It is an heirloom.
Ah,
It has much sentimental value to me.
sorry, I just unlocked something. It's fine, don't worry about it. Mirasandra nods. She says, I can understand that. Okay, can you tell me the name? You said terror folk?
So she said it in a way that she said it twice. She said terrafolk and terrorfolk.
Got it. / terror folk wooden mask. I am a note taker. Shut up.
I love note takers because note takers are the ones who don't ask me the question that I've already answered 7 times.
I'm still gonna ask them. Just because I don't have any memories. Anyway, Mirasandra nods. She says, I will bring this up to my companions and be sure to keep an eye out. And as we decide when and how we are going to embark, you may be hearing from us again. Thank you for entertaining my conversation. And she smiles.
She nods to you and she says, you as well. It is not subtle as you would think that I meet foreigners as intriguing as yourself.
I will take that as a compliment.
And she just gives you a slight smile.
All right. Mirasandra kind of excuses herself, makes her way back over to the others. She kind of sits down with like a flourish, sits down incorrectly on the edge of one of one of the open seats, I guess. And she says, how is dinner treating everyone? I just met the most delightful of people.
Welcome back, Mirasandra.
Nephis,
Hello,
you've
dear.
never seen this woman before.
I'm like looking at everyone else trying to see if they are as confused as I am. And when I see that they are not, I'm like, okay.
We're all
But I
a
don't
little
say anything.
confused, but we kind of just roll with it.
I don't know.
Dave is just unfazed.
What are any of these meats on the menu? I am very scared.
Scott, remind me, Talenta. Is that what it is? It is Talenta, right? Talenta plains have dinosaurs on them, correct?
Yes.
That's like one of the things. Cool.
Little dinosaurs.
Little dinosaurs. So would Mirasandra recognize any of these specific species?
You recognize dinosaurs and a couple of these smaller ones, but it seems like all of these cuts that it's talking about are names that you've heard maybe mentioned as potentially existing in either Kilara or Zendrick, but nothing specific, like just like vague references. You've never actually like seen them before.
Mirasandra looks at the menu and picks a thing off of it, just kind of by the vibes. She just picks a thing off of it and she says, I recommend that one.
I trust your judgment. Make it 2.
Zephyrus, how are you doing?
Zephyrus kind of like looks up kind of surprisedly. Because he hasn't interacted with Mirasandra that much. So he like looks up and like, oh, as well as I can be, I suppose. Thank you.
Keep at it. That being as well as you can be, and let me know if it gets any worse, or rather let Div know he's far better at most everything than I am. And she kind of smiles. But I am here to help. And then she turns to Nephis. And I'm not quite sure we've met before.
I was about to say, I don't recognize you at all. So, how do you know the rest of these people?
Oh, I came in with them. I'm Div's friend as of a while, but I've been traveling with these individuals for a few days. We're on the same quest. I wonder if you might now be on a similar quest.
I've been tagging along. Okay, interesting. Yes, very interesting. What was your name?
I'm Mirasandra.
So good to meet you. I'm Nephis. Domine. Good to
Nephis.
meet you.
That's a good name. Are you from around here?
Oh, no. I'm from same place as everyone else, up in Breland.
I wouldn't say the same place as everyone else, but yes. What are you doing down here?
You know, just around.
Mirasandra's eyes kind of glint with like a little bit of challenge, a little bit of interest. She says, too personal for someone you've just met? I won't pry, at least yet. And then she winks.
I'll take that challenge and keep it in mind.
Mirasandra taps the table twice and then says, on to the subject of our whole goal mission possibility. I did just meet the most interesting of individuals, a wilderness guide. The lights have left again.
They left dramatically though.
Very dramatic.
I've met someone.
Your light shot syndrome. Sorry.
She offered to, in exchange for our help retrieving something that had been stolen from her, she offered to take us to, quote, places no one else has seen, but also, quote, a mystic so powerful it would make a psychic look like a child attempting to recreate great art with finger paint. There was a metaphor along those lines. And as the cure and the curse that we are pursuing does seem to be extraordinarily mystical in nature, I do wonder if this might be a worthwhile tangent.
I liked the other 2 guides, but if you trust this lady, I trust you.
Mirasandra actually looks like quite a bit like when you say that, more specifically that you like trust her judgment in that, she looks like a little bit shaken, but she shakes it off pretty soon after and smiles at you, Jasper. She says, I am open to other options, of course. Anything might make good storytelling, but I do wonder if it wouldn't be productive.
It's like she knows what she's doing.
You do kind of you can all see her, like Mirasandra, I assume you point out to where she is, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, all of you have seen her, and as you see, she stands up to go, and you can see that across at her hip she has a curved sword, and across her back is a longbow, with a quiver and a pack that she kind of just slings over her shoulder, and she walks. All of you who, especially, I'm talking to you three, Nephis, Zeph, and Div, can recognize the walk of somebody who knows how to fight. And this woman knows what she's doing. Just the way that she moves, she has the grace of a warrior.
I'm sold.
Seems like the most obvious choice.
She stands up, she actually walks towards your group, and she looks towards you, Mirasandra, and she kind of nods to all of you. Azaka Stormfang, if you wish to engage my services, I will be here tomorrow, early in the morning. Have an excellent night.
Mirasandra like gives a nod.
And then she walks out.
Mirasandra raises her eyebrows. See? The ambiance? I'm just saying.
Could be beneficial. We are on a time crunch, however, both for Sandra and everyone else.
I do not mean to discount that at all. I simply think perhaps it would be getting us further towards our goal than anything else. All we have right now is the map and a vague direction of the forest.
Nephis, at the mention of that, a map of Cholt and a map of Zendrick is something that your superiors would be extremely interested in, as long with pretty much anybody who has any interest in exploring Cholt. Zendrick and Cholt aren't the kind of places that you can just easily, map, because you kind of have to survive the journey to get there first. And that's pretty difficult. So that's something that you were even specifically told, like, hey, if you manage to find this, that's something that we would like.
I don't say anything. I just kind of like my posture changes a little bit. I kind of straighten up more over my food.
Mirasandra will note that. It's just how she is.
Interesting.
I want Nephis lore. Where is it? Where is the Nephis lore? Anyway. Yeah, so just out of character for a second, does anyone else remember the first session a little better than me? And or I guess it might have been second session. Anyone else remember the second session a little bit better than me? You'll have to excuse me, it was like a month ago. Sindra gave us the map and brought this to this location, but she doesn't seem to have any further idea about where this curse might be emanating from than we do.
That is correct. She
Yeah,
knows it's
that's
coming
right.
from Cholt, but that was all she told you, and that was all she knew. She knew it's something that they've nicknamed the Soulmonger that's coming from Cholt. That's about it. That's as far as she's aware. She doesn't have any specific direction. She didn't point you anywhere she didn't know.
Yeah. So Mirasandra says, as far as we know, we have no further leads towards getting to a place that would help. And I see a mystic answer to possibly impossible questions like how do we reverse the death curse, perhaps being best asked something large and powerful and probably very dangerous. I love large, powerful, probably very dangerous things.
Mirasandra,
Yes?
now is not the time.
All right. But more to the point, it's a lead.
I trust the big lady.
She has more wits about her than the other two.
She may not be as fun, but this doesn't seem like a fun venture. More of a necessary one.
I would agree.
Scott, there was someone else that you described when we walked down here before you described Azaka. Can you remind me what was going on with that?
So this other woman, she was talking to Kaya, and she had a wooden staff. She had the feathers in her hair.
Right. I'm starting to see how this might be specifically structured.
But looking, you don't actually see her there anymore.
Oh, she is gone. Rip. I liked the feather lady too. I'll try not to make conversation with literally every NPC we meet, but I can't promise too much.
It's
You
great.
just like women.
I
That's
said
literally
every
all it
NPC.
is.
I'm not picky. Cool male NPCs and lovely non-binary fellas, also cool to make conversation with. These two happen to be women.
Uh-huh.
Leave me alone, Jason. Anyway. So yeah, how we feeling about mystic stuff?
Yeah.
It's something.
Scott, do we have to do anything to order dinner, or are we presuming we already did that?
Dinner has been ordered in the process of this.
Cool.
Ooh, this
Poor waiter just like walks over while we're all like discussing very like specific.
This dude works at a port in Zendrick. He's here weirder conversations.
Jasper, like a child, just kind of points at the menu. I want that one.
He kind of has to like lean over.
Yeah.
As we're sorry.
No, go for it.
As we're eating, Mirasandra kind of looks up from whatever it is she's digging into and says, so does anyone know Sindra well enough to know how she died?
I do. Well, do I actually know the actual cause, Scott?
Cinder was ripped into several pieces by dinosaurs.
Yeah, that.
While in these jungles specifically.
Yeah. Zeph kind of like looks up, kind of clears the throat and is like, well, she died in the jungles of Zendrick, actually.
Somehow this doesn't surprise me.
Syndra's dead. She looks really good for a dead woman. I mean, not great for an alive woman, but she's moving around pretty well for being dead.
Right.
Resurrection, Mirasandra says. It's that specific magic is what is being eaten away by the death curse.
Yes. Correct.
Well, I mean, it's the worst that happens if we can't fix this. She dies a second time. I mean, I don't mean to be that guy, but she's already died once. How bad could it be a second time?
Presumably quite bad.
Mirasandra, you remember hearing a rumor of the healers talking while you were in, just overheard it as a conversation that you were passing by for that little bit that you were in Sharn. And they mentioned the fact that for about the same time as this death curse thing had been going on, resurrection magic had been failing to work.
It isn't, from what I know, just a second death. It's more permanent. Everyone who's ever been resurrected is dying again, and no one ever will be able to be resurrected again.
We'll stop there for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. All right, so this is separate from what happened in the main session, but we just wanted to tap on this conversation between Caylona and Nephis. So here we go. Caylona and Nephis, you walk into the upper rooms of this tavern of Tobin. The rooms are made out of reeds. Just to let a very faint breeze going through, you can still hear the faint sound of rain from outside and the smells coming in from the market, the red or the red bazaar, as people refer to it. You can, the better scents are closer to here instead of the raw meat scent that you first had when you walked in. So it's overall a fairly pleasant experience. As far as beds go, all it seems to be is a couple inch high cots off the ground with a mat across the top. Until you walk in.
Okay. Caylona is just
Wow.
gonna kind of walk in and throw her stuff on one of the cots and start doing her stuff, like not really acknowledge that Memphis is there.
Nephis goes and like sits on the edge of one of the cots and kind of just watches Caylona do whatever it is she's doing, kind of just trying to analyze what like trying to see what she can figure out from this person. So far she's not a fan. So
That's funny. Kaylona's
um,
like digging through her bag, making sure everything's in there, like basically
As I'm
just
watching-
double checking
oh, go ahead.
everything. Sorry.
no, what did you say? Sorry.
No, you're good. I was like, Kaylona's just double checking everything, like making sure she has everything and like making sure everything's there and intact, like being OCD basically.
Hmm. So have you ever gone on any sort of journey like this before, or is this your first time?
She doesn't even look up and she's just like, not my first time. Definitely done this before.
Oh, yes, I can. It's just a little bit hard for me to tell, I'll be honest. You seem to be very meticulous about your belongings, and from my experience, people usually know what they have in their bag when they, come down for the night. But that's just me. So
Caylona just like smiles and keeps doing what she's doing. She's like, cool. Have you ever been on anything like this before? Seems like you kind of tend to get yourself in trouble a lot.
Oh, is that what I tend to do? Yes. Well, I have had my fair share of battles and journeys in my life, I would say. I would say I'm pretty experienced in that way. Yes.
Mm. Interesting. Cool. I guess.
So, why? I'm just trying to figure out, this whole group, it seems like a very interesting group of people overall. How are you related to any of them? How does this all come together?
She's kind of like, she pauses and is just kind of like looking at Memphis, like trying to decide how to answer this question, even though there's like not really a question that, like an answer that matters that much. And she's just kind of like, I'm not related to any of them. They're definitely interesting people, not the type I usually hang out with, but I don't know. I guess the only common thread is Syndra, and you've got that too. So I guess that's the one thing that relates all of us.
Yes, that is interesting. I will admit they're probably not the people I would normally be spending my time with either. But Syndra is such an interesting woman. I've only had a few interactions with her, but it's very clear to me that she has power. So I don't know.
Definitely does. Are you looking to get some of that, or is that why you're here?
No. I was already here. I actually I didn't even know Syndra was coming here. Like I said, I've only had a couple of interactions with her. I wouldn't say that we're close. I was just already assigned here, already working here. So I'm not too interested in power for myself. So
Really? That's a
what about-
rarity.
yeah. What about you? Are you looking for power of some sort?
I mean, not really. I've seen my fair share and I've kind of decided that's not the move. If I could just avoid all of this, I would, but Syndra's a good friend.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Do you have a lot of good friends?
No.
That's what I would have guessed. I didn't mean any offense by that. I'm so sorry. Just your interactions with the others, from what I've noticed.
Caylona didn't laugh like I did. I just laughed because I thought that was funny. But she's just like chilling there, and she just kind of nods, like agrees. And she's like, yeah, I don't really do well with people. People are not my thing. Most of the time.
There are definitely certain people that are less agreeable than others. I will say I've had my fair share of squabbles, of enemies, one might say, but
I can tell. But sometimes it's just like so fun. It's so fun to like push people's buttons, just to see like how far they'll go. So I think that's like a big thing. And the other thing is like I don't really care how many people hate me. Like not a big deal. I'll do what I need to do to get stuff done.
yes, of course. And I mean, maybe we're getting too deep here. I don't really know you that well, but why do you think that is? I'm so interested in what led you to be the way that you are and all of this. It fascinates me, honestly. It really does.
You can kind of see like not a wall, but like a mask because she smiles. She like actually smiles. And she's like, I don't know, but it sure is fun as hell.
Caylona,
So, go ahead.
something inside you, it almost feels separate from you, is deeply intrigued by who this woman is.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. I see you. Can she do like a, I don't know if I've done this on Memphis yet. Can she do an insight check on Memphis?
Yeah.
Nephis? Sorry, I can't say your name right.
That's okay.
Scott?
You can make the roll.
Okay. I was like, is that a yes or no? Oh, that was terrible. Okay. Let me just like actually figure out. Okay, so it's a 9.
9.
Yeah.
Nephis, there's some things that I think you'd be actively trying to hide, but what aren't you trying to hide? We'll put it that way.
I like to be seen as very confident and intimidating. So I'm not really trying to hide that I am kind of putting up that front in a way. Not that it's a front. I think Nephis does think she's pretty awesome in a lot of ways, but I try to seem very intelligent and cool, even if that's not necessarily true in every case. That's definitely something I'm doing right now, which is probably pretty obvious. So
you're able to pick that up, Caylona.
That fits. Cool. What was the last thing that we just talked about? Oh. Caylona's just gonna kind of look at her and she's gonna be like, speaking of like, we don't know each other very well. Like, are you from that city that had all those zombies in it, or did you just like happen upon it and decide to be the hero?
Oh no, I'm not from around here. I'm from Breland, as many are. So
Gotcha.
yes.
So what brought you there?
Just work,
Fun.
You have to make a living, right? All of us do. So
Yep.
probably the same reason you're here, right? I mean, you said you and Cinder are friends, but I'm sure there's some sort of compensation for you than just the goodness of your heart.
No. Syndra, it's a little hard to explain. Syndra's taking care of me for a really long time in a way that I didn't know I needed. And we've just been closer the last couple years. And I've taken her out on a couple expeditions, you could say, and she's sent me out on a couple already. So it's kind of a pattern. I guess you could say it's honest work. Keeps me busy.
Well, that's very sweet. It's good to have relationships like that.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's just the one.
Yes. Nephis gets just a little bit, like her vibe changes just slightly from that conversation. And it's not like a huge thing, but I just get a little bit stiffer in my motions and my demeanor, just overall. Nephis kind of is quiet. Like Nephis, I don't really have, she's just thinking right now more instead of interacting, I guess. So
Caylona can like see that and she like recognizes that look because she's like had it herself like 1,000 times and she just kind of leaves her alone. She's like, I'm not even gonna poke that bear. We're just gonna nope.
Awesome. And the rest of the time passes until y'all head down to dinner.